After we decided to give things another shot, I made a point to stop doing all the things that used to annoy Claire. I quit texting her all the time to see where she was. I stopped getting jealous for no reason. And I didn't pick fights over small stuff anymore. I even found a man's cufflink sitting on the passenger seat of her car that definitely didn't belong to me. Instead of making a scene, I just picked it up and put it in the center console for her. But Claire saw me do it, and her face got dark immediately, and she slammed her foot on the brakes. Claire was a very pretty woman with delicate features, but she had this intense vibe like she was always the boss of everyone in the room. Right now, she was rubbing the top of her nose like she had a headache. "That cufflink is Simon's," she said. "We had a dinner meeting last night that went really late. He drank way too much, so I had my driver drop him off at his place." She looked over at me and actually explained herself, which was weird because she usually hated having to explain anything. "I've told you 100 times, Arthur. I only look out for him because his dad is a close friend of my family. There isn't anything going on between us. There never was, and there never will be." When she saw that I wasn't saying anything back, a look of worry cracked through her usually calm face. It was a look of helplessness I hadn't really seen on her before. "What do I actually have to do to make you believe me?" "Nothing," I said, keeping my voice totally normal. "I believe you. I'm not angry?" It was like she punched a soft pillow. Her face just went blank for a second because she didn't get the reaction she expected. "Then why have you been so quiet this whole ride?" I looked down at my watch, doing a quick mental math problem to figure out how long it would take to get to the airport, and I ignored her question. "Didn't you say you hate it when people chatter about nothing?" I asked. "I'm running a bit late for work. Can you just let me out at this corner?" I was looking out the window at the traffic, so I completely missed the nasty look that crossed Claire's face. "You always get out at the next light," she said. "We are still more than a mile away from your office." I hadn't really planned for that, so I had to turn and look at her while she studied my face. "It's early," she said, suspicious. "If you aren't going to the office, where are you going?" Just as she was starting to look really suspicious, her phone rang. It was the special ringtone she had set specifically for Simon. Claire's sharp look softened up instantly. Her eyes looked away from me, which was a total giveaway. "It's a work call," she said. "I need to take this." She immediately forgot about questioning me and unlocked the car doors. "You can hop out here then." I nodded and unbuckled my seatbelt fast, but she stopped me before I could open the door. "Don't be so clumsy," she said. "Watch out for cars." Her voice coming from behind me sounded a little softer, almost like she was trying to be nice. "I made a reservation at that restaurant you've been talking about. I promised you before that I wouldn't miss another anniversary. Happy 7th anniversary, Arthur. I'll see you tonight." My hand stopped on the door handle for a second. On our last anniversary, she had bailed on me to hang out with Simon. It had hurt me so bad back then, but thinking about it right now, I didn't feel anything at all. "You should answer that call," I said quietly. "Don't keep them waiting." After all, Simon wasn't the type of guy who could be kept waiting, and neither could my airplane. As for our anniversary, well, this year, next year, and every year after that, I was going to be missing it. I finally managed to get on the plane. After I found my seat and sat down, I felt a little bit lightheaded because I hadn't had time to eat breakfast. I reached into my pocket out of habit, and sure enough, I found 3 pieces of chocolate. Ever since I passed out from low blood sugar a long time ago, Claire had made it a rule to put a few chocolates in my pocket every single day. The sweet taste melted on my tongue, and the dizzy feeling went away pretty fast. But then, a really gross, bitter taste seemed to come up in my throat to replace it. 7 years. How did Claire and I end up like this? In the beginning, I honestly believed that Simon was just some nepotism hire she had to bring on board because his dad knew people. I thought that was the reason Claire had to be so strictly professional with me at the office while giving him special treatment. My department head, Mr. Henderson, gave me a hard time constantly, and nothing ever happened to him. But the one time he was slightly rude to Simon, he got fired immediately. Behind his back, everyone called Simon the Prince, even right in front of me, Claire's secret boyfriend. I forced myself to try and understand her tough spot, but the special treatment started leaking into our life at home. Over and over again, Claire would ditch me to run to him whenever he called. One night, things finally blew up. I saw a photo in a private group chat with some people from work. Claire, who had told me she was working late, was actually at a late-night movie with Simon. It was the exact same movie I had begged her to go see with me, the one she had flat out refused to watch. "Everyone says you have to see The Letter with the person you love," I had told her, pulling on her arm like a kid. "We should go." Claire hadn't even looked up from her work. "Watching cheesy romance movies is a waste of life," she had said. But in the photo, she looked amazing, smiling really big. She didn't look impatient at all. The messages in the group chat were scrolling by fast, blurring in front of my eyes. When Claire got home later, I asked her in a flat voice, "Was the letter good?" She looked a little surprised for a second. Or maybe I just imagined it. She acted totally calm, her face blank. "Were you following me?" My heart felt like someone was smothering it with a heavy, wet towel. I couldn't catch my breath. "Do I need to follow you? That cute picture of you two has been all over the office group chat." My chest was heaving up and down. "Claire, if you want to break up, just say it. You don't have to lie to me like this." Her expression didn't change at all. She looked as calm as someone watching a boring play. "If you don't have even the basic trust in me, then I have nothing else to say to you. Arthur, I've had a long day. I don't have the energy to fight with you." No guilt, no explanation. Compared to how pathetic I looked, she was so composed. She even remembered to carefully put the paper bag she was holding onto the table. The words, "the letter," printed on the bag felt like a punch in the gut. All the feelings I had been pushing down for so long, wrapped up in this huge sense of unfairness, just came crashing down on me. Finally, I snapped. I grabbed the bag and smashed it onto the floor. It wasn't sealed shut, so the stuff inside tumbled out with a few soft thuds. I didn't even look down. I just stared at Claire with red eyes. We stared at each other in a standoff. A moment later, she stormed out and slammed the door behind her. I stood there frozen like a statue until something rolled over to my shoe. I looked down, shocked. It was a chocolate. The floor was covered in round, handmade chocolates. My heart got soft again. I wanted to talk to her, to fix things. But for 3 whole days, Claire didn't answer her phone and didn't come home. I swallowed my pride and sent her a text message. "I was wrong to lose my temper without talking to you first. But it's also true that you said you were working late, but went to the movies with him. Tonight is our 6th anniversary. I'll be waiting for you at home. Let's sit down and talk this through, okay?" But I waited from the morning until night and she never came back. As it got close to 11:00 p.m., I decided to go find her at the office. On the way there, I ran into Mr. Henderson, the manager Claire had fired because of Simon. He dragged me into a dark alleyway. "I don't dare touch the CEO, but I can sure as hell go after the pretty boy she protects, can't I?" I called her private number over and over, but nobody answered. My scared yells for help were met with silence. If a stranger hadn't walked by and scared him off, I would have ended up with way worse than just a bruised and swollen face. When my phone suddenly rang, I jumped and let out a little scream. Seeing the name on the screen, the strength that had kept me going all night just collapsed. My voice sounded like a choked sob. "Claire? Hello?" It was Simon's voice, low and sounding like he was smiling. "Claire's in the shower. I saw you called a bunch of times. Can I ask who this is and what you need?" My throat felt like it was burning. This pain was so bad I wanted to rip my own voice box out. Hanging up the phone felt like it took all my energy. Beaten up and broken, I limped to the police station to file a report. When it was all done, my clock showed it was 12:01 a.m. the next day. I finally got a call back from Claire. Her tone was as superior as ever. "Learned your lesson?" In that second, I knew. She had done it on purpose. All those ignored calls on our anniversary were her way of punishing me for not trusting her. Tears ran down my swollen face, stinging my cuts. When I spoke, my voice sounded raspy and broken. "Claire," I said, "let's break up." There was only a second of silence on the other end. Then a cold laugh. "Fine. Don't you regret it?" She hung up without thinking twice. She agreed to the breakup without hesitating at all. At first, I just had trouble sleeping. I couldn't stop replaying everything about our time together. I was scared I had judged her wrong, that I was being unfair. I started reading our old texts over and over, but the more I read, the sadder I got, and the more resentful I felt. I started to hate Claire. 6 years. 6 whole years. I hated how she could just throw me away like trash. At 4:00 a.m., I painfully deleted all her social accounts from my phone. I got up and in a rage gathered all her stuff. I stuffed it all into big garbage bags and threw them violently into the dumpster downstairs. After all that, I thought I would feel better. But it felt like I had planned to swat a mosquito that was biting me, only to realize the blood that splattered was my own. I went to work on time, like nothing happened. But only I knew that a huge chunk of me was missing. The part where Claire used to be. It had started to rot. To survive, I had to cut out that rotting part myself. But I forgot that a wound that big can kill you. My emotions started going crazy after I saw her at a big company meeting. Claire was as poised and confident as ever. Actually, she looked even better. It was like losing me didn't affect her at all. Simon exchanged a look with her that he probably thought was subtle, his face turning a little red. I stopped sleeping and threw up everything I ate. Claire didn't use social media, so I started obsessively checking Simon's accounts. I analyzed every post that had anything to do with her, until one day I passed out from low blood sugar at the office and got rushed to the hospital. Claire actually lowered herself to visit me. It was the 29th day since we broke up. She casually twisted the matching promise ring on her finger. "Arthur, you've lost weight." I stared at the wall, my mouth moving stiffly. "I'm sorry." A winning smile spread across Claire's face. We got back together. There's an old saying that a short, sharp pain is better than a long, dull ache. But that doesn't work for everyone. For someone with a weak will, the best way is a quiet withdrawal. You keep the person in the same spot in your life, but you slowly stop expecting anything from them. It was like slowly boiling my own heart. The process wasn't too hard. The end wasn't too painful. At first my heart would still hurt whenever I had to pretend to be the bigger person. But Claire seemed very satisfied. Otherwise, she wouldn't have smiled a little and patted my head like I was a dog. "Arthur, you've grown up." About 6 months after we got back together, my plan to save myself started working. I was slowly becoming the person Claire wanted me to be. When she didn't come home all night, I didn't check on her. I stopped asking about her and Simon. By the time I realized it, That piece of rot inside me had finally fallen off on its own. I paused for a moment, then smiled. Then I sent my resume to a company in France. They had offered me a job before, but I had turned it down to stay with Claire. Luckily, they offered it to me again. I bought a plane ticket for 2 weeks later. I didn't plan on telling Claire. After all, our relationship had always been optional for her. I became more generous and understanding. But Claire, strangely, started getting unhappy. I thought I was just imagining things, and kept working late. When I got home, she stopped me before I could shower. Claire looked at me slowly. "Is there anything you want to tell me lately?" I yawned and shook my head, confused. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," she said, her voice flat. "Go ahead." But I soon learned she was actually angry. I had to deal with her advances in bed, which were getting more aggressive every time. Claire held me from behind, her warm breath on my neck. Her whispers were soft, but her movements felt heavy. "Simon has been giving you a hard time at work, making you work overtime? Why didn't you tell me, My stomach hurt. I honestly couldn't understand what she was mad about. I could only beg her to stop. Work is work. Personal is personal. I'm being good. Before, my old boss, Mr. Henderson, was always giving me trouble. Once he made me take the blame for a huge mistake. In a meeting with hundreds of people, Claire tore into me without mercy. "Even a pig wouldn't be this stupid," she had said. Back home, I swallowed my pride and said, "You can check the emails. Why wouldn't you listen to me in the meeting?" Claire's face had been blank, just like at the office. "Work is work, and personal is personal, Arthur. I only look at results. At the office, I'm your boss, not your girlfriend. I can't protect you." But 2 days later, my current boss was fired. The reason? He was rude to Simon. I worked hard and was the top performer. When my boss left, everyone assumed I'd get promoted. But Simon, who hadn't even finished his probation, was promoted by Claire over everyone else. He took the position and became my new boss. Now I was finally staying in my lane, not making a fuss and keeping work separate. But Claire's body went stiff, and she flipped me over. The light was too bright. Ishwats raised a hand to cover my eyes, and tears slid out from the corners. But Claire insisted on pulling my hand away. I tried to resist, but I was too weak. "What are you doing?" She pried my hand away. Claire stared into my eyes, acting stubborn. "You used to look me in the eye." I had no idea what had gotten into her. I just stared back at her, annoyed. In that instant, a flash of anxiety crossed Claire's face. She weirdly covered my eyes with her hand. Then she leaned in to kiss me, saying my name over and over. "Arthur. Arthur." The next day, Claire suddenly asked Simon to give a work report. It was all work I had done, and Simon just stuttered, unable to say a thing. "If you don't even understand the basics of your own job," Claire said, her face stone cold, "then you don't need to be in this position." Everyone in the conference room was dead silent. After the meeting, the break room was buzzing. "God, the CEO was in a terrible mood today. Do you guys think the prince is about to lose his spot?" Everyone was talking. Someone pointed at me while I was making coffee. "Arthur, why are you so quiet? You're tough, man. You didn't even crack when the boss yelled at you like that." Honestly, I couldn't be bothered to get involved in their drama. But in a situation where everyone is gossiping about the boss, staying silent makes you a target. So I just laughed it off. Who am I to compare myself to the prince? I'm just a worker bee. They're childhood sweethearts. They fight 1 minute and make up the next. It's just a classic office romance thing. "Hey, why are you nudging me? Stop it." I looked down to steady my cup and added, "They're a perfect match. Honestly, I totally support them together." Only after I said it did I notice the room had gone totally quiet. I looked up and met Claire's ice-cold face. Amid the pitying looks from my coworkers, I was summoned to the top floor by a furious Claire. The moment I stepped inside, she wrapped her arms around me from behind. I jumped in surprise. Claire was usually so careful about this stuff. To keep us a secret, she made me get out of the car 2 lights early every morning. But now the office door was open, and anyone could walk in. I pushed her away fast. "Someone will see." Claire started staring into my eyes again, like she was trying to dig something out of them. After a long moment, she finally lowered her hand. "Arthur, there's really nothing between me and Simon." Before, I would have begged for this. "Forget it. It's fine if you're still upset. From now on, I'll prove it to you with my actions." I was stunned. I never expected to get the promise I had cried and fought for before we broke up. And now I was getting it for no reason at all. But now, my flight was in 7 days. I didn't want anything from her anymore. Claire started to change. She suddenly began telling me everywhere she went, even though I didn't care. She became obsessed with forcing me to look at her face, but every time I did, she'd end up covering my eyes. It was like a derailed train suddenly getting back on track. Everything seemed to rewind to a time before Simon ever showed up. I suddenly thought maybe she wasn't completely indifferent after all. I decided I should tell her I was leaving face to face. I hadn't noticed when I bought the ticket, but my departure date was our 7th anniversary. And tomorrow was the day. I looked at the photo Claire had sent me from her business dinner as a way of checking in. I decided to tell her everything tonight. But then I saw it. Claire kissing Simon. The evening breeze, the summer night, the stars. The scene was exactly the same as the night we got together 7 years ago. Except back then, I was the one in Claire's arms. Now it was Simon. Simon looked triumphant. He looked at me, his eyes flashing with defiance. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. My heart felt like a pool of stagnant water. Finally, I was completely numb. Claire had been nervous for days. Maybe because Arthur was acting a little too well-behaved. Before, he would start talking about how he wanted to celebrate our anniversary months in advance. But today was our 7th anniversary. If she hadn't brought it up in the car, he seemed to have forgotten it completely. Claire frowned and looked at her silent phone. A weird feeling of losing control crawled up her spine. It felt like something was slipping away. She couldn't grab it, but she had to do something. So she sent another text to Arthur. "I'm handling something important over here. Be good. See you at the Sunset Grill at 6:30 p.m. Just then, a cheerful voice called out, "Claire?" Claire looked up, annoyed. She saw Simon's face, and next to him, his father. A caregiver pushing her own father's wheelchair followed them. Her father looked grumpy as always. "After we finish business, it'll be dinner time, so I invited my future in-law to join us." Simon's father acted like an elder, chiming in. "It's been a whole year. It's time to set a date for you two to get married. Your father isn't well. Why did you ask him to come here? Let's get this over with so we can eat." Simon nodded. "All right," Claire said, with a cruel look on her mouth but no smile in her eyes. "I was planning to meet with your father tomorrow, anyway." Simon's father smiled, but it froze when Claire spoke again. "Then it's a perfect time to discuss the land in the Northwood development." "Northwood? What Northwood?" Simon's father looked like his eyes were going to pop out. Claire's father's face changed too. Only Simon was confused. "Dad, it's that land Claire said was urgent. Last night Simon said, Anyway, last night I got your official seal and stamped it for her." With every word Simon spoke, the two old men looked paler. Within minutes, Claire's father had passed out from rage and had to be dragged out. Only Simon stood there frozen. He finally understood. His eyes turned. "Redempted. So you've been using me this whole time? Being nice to me was an act just to get my dad? I don't understand business, but I never hurt you. I even waited for you to break up with your boyfriend. How could you do this?" Simon had let his father use his shares to pressure her into marriage. Now that she had her shares back, Claire didn't care. Her voice was cold. "Didn't you? If you hadn't used your privileges, how would you have gotten a job at my company?" Simon looked at her like he didn't know her. "Oh," he said through tears. "So you're standing up for your boyfriend Arthur?" Claire hadn't expected him to know Arthur's name. Her brow furrowed. Simon caught it. So the name Arthur was her weakness. "Arthur submitted his resignation this morning," Simon said, his voice getting sharp. "Since he's a level below me, I didn't need your approval to accept it. I figured you didn't know, so I'm telling you." Claire's eyes got small. She checked her watch and stood up. "I have to go." "By the way," Simon shouted as she walked away fast. He wanted to hurt her. "Arthur saw us kiss last night." He watched Claire's hand freeze on the doorknob. "You should have seen the look on his face. Shame you missed it." Claire drove home instantly. Arthur didn't answer his phone. She opened the apartment door. Everything looked exactly the same. Arthur's pillow was on the sofa. His clothes were in the closet. Claire's heart started to calm down, but then she saw something on the nightstand. Their matching promise rings. Under the rings was a note. It read, "We're done. You can have this back." Her phone told her the number she dialed didn't exist. It felt like arrows hitting her heart. Then an unknown number called. Claire, who had been calm even when signing serious business deals, found her hand shaking. "Hello? Arthur?" A polite voice answered. "Ms. Claire, hello. We're the management from the Sunset Grill. It is 6:31 p.m., and neither you nor your boyfriend have arrived. Would you like to reschedule your proposal?" Her heart felt like it fell off a cliff. But Claire didn't have time to feel the pain. For the next several days, she worked non-stop to fight off the attacks from Simon's father and her own family. She knew where Arthur was, but couldn't go to him. Until the 29th day after their breakup. Her company was finally fully hers. She flew to the country where he was living. Claire held the promise ring tight in her hand. She finally understood that the bitter feeling in her chest was the feeling of being wronged. She thought, Arthur has really gone too far this time. It's one thing to be angry, but to leave the country? Whatever. He loves me so much. He only did this because he saw me kissing Simon and was mad. She told herself, all I have to do is go to him and smooth things over. He'll come right back. But on a street in that foreign country, she saw him from a distance. Her Arthur. Kissing another woman when Emily leaned in. I was totally shocked. A wave of heat shot from where she touched my cheek. She took a step back quickly. I was frozen. Why the cheek kiss? I'm sorry, you're just too cute, Emily said, looking down at me with bright eyes. I wanted to kiss your cheek, but I was afraid it would be too forward. I like you. Will you be my boyfriend? Now I was really speechless. When my coworkers joked the boss liked me, I hadn't taken it seriously. Emily was the general manager of our branch. Young, successful, and beautiful. Everyone thought she was amazing. We started talking when I stayed late to practice English. One time I fell asleep and woke up with a blanket over me. When Emily wasn't joking, she looked serious. Working overtime isn't a good habit, Just as I was going to explain, I saw a fun look in her eyes. But hard work deserves a reward. With her help, I got better at the job fast. 2 weeks in, I landed a huge deal. That put me up for a promotion, threatening another guy. He tried to get people to ignore me, but in a big meeting, Emily praised me and called him out. It was her way of protecting me. But I had a bad thought. So this is what it feels like to be Simon. Truthfully, after moving to France, I rarely thought about Claire. I knew leaving wouldn't affect her. Besides, Claire wasn't going to suddenly appear here like in a drama movie. Arthur? At that moment, I saw the woman who shouldn't be there walking toward me. Before I could react, Claire pulled me into a frantic hug. Her breathing was shaky. "Ms. Claire? You know Mr. Jones?" Emily asked, surprised. I was shocked too. Why did Emily know Claire? I was about to push Claire away, but she realized someone else was there and let go, standing next to me. She gripped my shoulder. "I forgot to introduce him. Arthur is my boyfriend." My brain crashed. I had no idea what Claire was doing. "Let go of me," I said. "We already broke up." Hearing this, Emily's eyes narrowed and she looked at Claire coldly. "Please let him go. Even though you're our client, I have to ensure the safety of my employees." The air around Claire got heavy. She looked at Emily with pure hate. "Your GM here has a habit of kissing her employees?" She cut Emily off with a sneer. "I don't find that very professional." I finally understood. Claire was the client behind the huge deal I had landed. A deep exhaustion hit me. The accomplishment I felt turned into a slap in the face. Adapting to a new country is hard, but you learn to love yourself by overcoming challenges. And besides that one deal, my other sales were great. I just didn't understand why Claire had to show up to tell me I couldn't live without her. I stopped struggling. "Claire, let me go." I gave Emily a look to say it was okay. Then I said to Claire, "Let's sit down and talk." It was a long, overdue talk. Claire looked tired. "That night, Simon kissed me so fast I didn't have time to dodge. Just like how Emily just approached you. But you've been angry long enough. I'm sorry. Can you come home with me now?" I never thought that even now she would think I was just throwing a tantrum. I laughed in disbelief. "I don't care about you and Simon anymore. Claire, when I said break up, I meant it." I didn't think she chased me here out of love. It was just her pride. My words shocked her. Her face went blank. "Why?" "There is no why," I said calmly. "It doesn't matter anymore. The love is gone. We broke up. It's normal." Claire studied me. "You're just resentful. A breakup? Fine. Then I'll just win you back." I never knew Claire could be such a pest. She used to care so much about her image. Now she demanded to work alongside us in our office as a client. She inserted herself into my life. I wasn't vain enough to think it was love. It was just her pride. One day I heard coworkers betting on who I'd end up with, Emily or the client. They all bet on Emily. Then the sound of a cup breaking made everyone look. Claire was standing there. She looked lost. This time Claire used her status to force me to have dinner. She held her glass tight. "This past year I've been terrible to you, haven't I? I was wrong. But I've fired Simon. My feelings haven't changed. You can't condemn me over this. Just like I know there's nothing between you and Emily, right?" I watched her and felt satisfied for the first time. "It doesn't matter," I said. Again with "it doesn't matter." Then what the hell does matter? Claire raised her voice, making people stare. She calmed herself down and took out the rings. "You said you wanted to trade this for a wedding ring. Let's go home and get married, okay? Claire knew how much I used to want that. But now, I felt nothing. I took the rings. On our 6th anniversary, I called you many times. You didn't answer. I was sleeping at the office. Simon came to bring me something. We didn't do anything. She stopped, looking like she was choking. The biggest obstacle wasn't Simon, I said, opening up my heart. Being with you was exhausting. You made me feel replaceable. I worked so hard for validation, but I realized I needed to validate myself. I thought I couldn't live without you, but I'm actually happier without you. Claire looked devastated. She watched as I threw the rings out the window. She didn't say a word. After that, Claire didn't come to the office. The last time I saw her was the project wrap-up. Emily drove me, and Claire sat in the back. It was winter, and a blizzard started. Suddenly the car skidded on the ice. We were thrown around. A car was coming right at us. Just before we hit, a familiar scent surrounded me. My head was held tight in Claire's arms. My face pressed against something hard. It was the ring I had thrown away. Claire whispered, "Arthur, I'm sorry." I woke up. Claire was in the ICU. My arm was broken. Emily was okay. I sat outside the ICU. Lawyers arrived and made me sign papers. Claire had left everything to me in case she died or was incapacitated. One lawyer told me she had been fighting a massive battle for the company and had to play along with Simon to win. She let me misunderstand her rather than show weakness. I realized she loved me, but hurt me at the same time. I broke down crying. Later, Claire was moved to a hospital back home, still in a coma. I went to the Sunset Grill. Someone was proposing nearby. The waiter told me about a woman who booked the place once but never showed up. She had a custom centerpiece made that said, "Worth the wait." I watched the sunset and cried. Only Claire could bring me such extreme love and hate. I went back to her room. She was lying there quietly. I whispered, "I know you love me, but being broken and rebuilt is too painful. I can't do it again. I accept your apology. Our 7 years are wiped clean." I smiled softly. "Wake up soon. I wish you a life of freedom, Claire. It's just that I won't be in it." Claire's story. Claire had a long dream. She saw 19-year-old Arthur admitting he had never had steak before because he was poor. His honesty made her fall for him. But everything Claire loved, she lost. Her father was cruel. He even tried to marry her off to Simon to fix his own regrets. Claire plotted for years to get power and protect Arthur. She had to use Simon's weakness. She thought, "I can never let Arthur know." She needed to be the strong protector, not someone desperate. As long as she didn't cheat physically, she felt she hadn't betrayed Arthur. When he confronted her, she just avoided it. Later, she brainwashed herself. She was sacrificing for their future. So why couldn't he just be obedient? She also felt arrogant because she had the upper hand. Arthur's pain fed her need for control, but she drained him until he withered. When she finally realized, the most painful thing wasn't him saying he didn't love her. It was him saying, "I'm happier without you." She thought she was his shelter, but she was actually the storm. She fell in love with his diamond-tough heart, but she was the one who shattered it. When the car crashed, she didn't hesitate. As her eyes closed, Claire said, "I'm sorry for making you wait so long." A single tear slid from her eye. The monitor line went flat, finally giving way to silence.
Enzo mi dice
Nel
qualcosa.
tempo infiniti queste tombe sembrano
Sì.
molto belle. Lasciami avere.
Ci siamo sparati. 24 in vitalità, 20 in resistenza, 25 in forza. Adesso mi voglio fare vitalità a 30, poi resistenza al 30 e poi penso di non livellare mai più vitalità e resistenza e pomparmi forza fino alla morte. Ed è uno.
Addio, brava caccia.
Poi, parlato con Spardina e mi ha detto che ho perso robe, quindi mi sa che si deve fare il New Game Plus, ma questo si vedrà alla fine. Se effettivamente vorrei fare un New Game Plus o no. Con una effettiva guida. E adesso andiamo avanti. Che in realtà Parl è un po' troppo in là, secondo me. Cioè, è già è un boss e io non ho esplorato un cazzo questa zona, questo è il fatto. Oh, c'è un foglio. Rituali da incubo brahmano neonato. Trovane uno e silenzia il suo pianto straziante. No, forse l'avevo letto.